Los Angeles, February 1985. The air inside the Shrine Auditorium crackled with anticipation as the American Music Awards ceremony approached its final segments. The entertainment industry's elite filled the ornate venue, designer gowns and tailored tuxedos creating visual tapestry that reflected the particular glamour of mid-'80s Hollywood. This wasn't just another awards show in a city built on self-celebration. This was the convergence of musical movements that defined the era: pop, rock, R&B, and the emerging hip-hop scene, all represented by their brightest stars, all witnessing what would become one of the most unexpected moments in award show history. In separate sections of the auditorium, carefully positioned by event coordinators aware of media narratives surrounding their supposed rivalry, sat two artists at the absolute pinnacle of their commercial and creative powers. Michael Jackson, still riding the unprecedented success of Thriller, occupied prime position near the stage, his entourage creating protective bubble that maintained careful distance between global phenomenon and the ordinary mortals surrounding him. Across the room, Prince held court in equally prominent location, his Purple Rain album having transformed him from critical darling to mainstream superstar without compromising the provocative independence that defined his artistic approach. Neither had planned to perform that evening. Both had declined formal invitations from producers eager to boost ratings with appearance of either musician, let alone potential of them sharing stage. The media had spent years constructing narrative of bitter rivalry between them, manufacturing competition between artists whose musical approaches differed dramatically, but who shared experience of navigating unprecedented fame while attempting to maintain artistic authenticity. Though they had crossed paths at industry events previously, their interactions had remained carefully formal, public cordiality masking private recognition that industry benefited from portraying them as competitors rather than contemporaries exploring different facets of Black musical innovation. If this story of unexpected connection and musical spontaneity moves you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more untold stories from music history. The ceremony proceeded with predictable rhythm of awards presentations and acceptance speeches, performances from artists who had agreed to participate, and the particular combination of genuine emotion and manufactured enthusiasm that characterized such industry gatherings. Neither Michael nor Prince demonstrated more than polite engagement with proceedings, their expressions revealing practiced public composure rather than genuine investment in competitive framework that such events implicitly reinforced. The reduction of artistic expression to quantifiable metrics of commercial success and peer recognition. It happened during transition between presentation segments, that brief window when cameras focused on hosts rather than audience, when attention typically wandered before next announcement recaptured collective focus. From backstage entrance emerged small group that immediately attracted notice despite clear intention to minimize disruption. Hospital staff accompanying child in wheelchair, medical equipment indicating condition requiring consistent monitoring. The child, girl approximately 12 years old, wore formal dress that contrasted poignantly with medical apparatus surrounding her, suggesting special occasion deemed worth physical strain involved in attending public event during a parent's serious illness. Event staff guided the group to specially prepared area near stage, location arranged through Make-A-Wish Foundation for child whose specific request had been attending ceremony where both her musical heroes might be present. What production coordinators hadn't anticipated, what created initial ripple of confused recognition among nearby audience members, was the hand-painted sign the girl carefully raised once positioned, large enough to be visible from significant distance despite her clearly limited strength. "My two heroes before I go." The message read, simple declaration that transformed routine award show moment into something approaching emotional ambush for those who grasped its full implication. Michael noticed first, his characteristic awareness of surroundings even amid chaotic public environments drawing his attention to movement near stage. Those seated nearest him observed the subtle but significant shift in his expression as he read the sign, as recognition dawned regarding messages meaning beyond its literal text. This child's request to witness both artists she admired before illness took its expected course. For perhaps 30 seconds, he remained motionless, internal calculation visible only through minor changes in his typically composed features. Across the room, Prince's attention had similarly been drawn to the late-arriving group, his reaction less visible through greater physical distance, but equally focused on child whose message had transformed routine industry event into moment of genuine human significance. The supposed rivals, without communicating directly, found themselves simultaneously witnessing requests that transcended manufactured competition, that appealed to their shared humanity rather than carefully constructed public personas. We'd love to hear about your most memorable concert experiences or unexpected musical moments. Have you ever witnessed artists coming together in surprising ways? Share your stories in the comments below. What happened next defied both event protocols and the established narrative surrounding these iconic musicians. Michael rose from his seat, movement immediately noticed by nearby audience members whose attention shifted from stage to unexpected activity in VIP section. With characteristic grace that somehow conveyed both humility and absolute certainty, he began moving toward the child, his security detail momentarily confused by unplanned deviation, but adjusting quickly to maintain protective formation around his advancing figure. The audience reaction rippled outward from those who first noticed his movement, surprise murmurs gradually yielding to focused attention as recognition spread that something unplanned was occurring. That carefully choreographed award show rhythm had been interrupted by genuine human moment. Camera operators, sensing significant development despite being between formal segments, swung equipment to capture Michael's approach toward the wheelchair-bound child whose sign had triggered this unexpected response. As Michael reached the girl, as he knelt beside her wheelchair with gesture that simultaneously acknowledged her physical reality while establishing eye-level connection that conveyed fundamental respect, another movement began across the auditorium. Prince, observing Michael's approach to their shared admirer, rose from his separate seating area, his expression unreadable at distance, but his purposeful movement suggesting decision rather than reactive response. Choice to participate in moment that transcended constructed narrative of rivalry that had surrounded them for years. The auditorium fell into progressive silence as recognition spread. These two artists, consistently positioned as competitors by media narratives and marketing strategies, simultaneously approaching child whose simple message had cut through industry machinery to touch something more fundamental than commercial positioning or artistic differences. By the time Prince reached the opposite side of the wheelchair, completing triangle formation with Michael and the clearly overwhelmed child, the venue had achieved rare quality of complete attentive silence. The particular hush that accompanies recognition of witnessing something genuine amid typically manufactured environment. For several moments, no one spoke, the child apparently overwhelmed by actual presence of musicians whose work had clearly provided significant meaning during her difficult journey, the artists themselves perhaps navigating unexpected proximity after years of maintained distance. Then Michael, with characteristic sensitivity to emotional undercurrents in any situation, broke the silence with simple question that somehow acknowledged both the girl's condition and her humanity beyond medical circumstance. "What's your favorite song?" he asked softly, question seemingly directed specifically to the child, but carrying through nearby microphones to become audible throughout increasingly silent venue. The girl, initially rendered speechless by the actual presence of both her musical heroes, finally found her voice, quietly naming composition from Prince's repertoire rather than Michael's. Honesty that might have created awkward moment in another context, but instead generated small smile of appreciation from Michael for her authentic response. Prince, typically economical with both words and public vulnerability, responded with uncharacteristic directness. "Would you like to hear it?" he asked, question containing none of the performative quality that typically accompanied his public appearances, but rather genuine human connection rarely displayed in such public settings. The girl's expression transformed from stunned disbelief to joy so pure it momentarily transcended the medical reality evident in equipment surrounding her, in physical fragility visible beneath her formal attire. What occurred next defied every expectation of industry event designed to celebrate commercial achievement rather than artistic spontaneity. Prince looked directly at Michael. First moment of explicit acknowledgement between them since arriving at separate times, being seated in separate sections, maintaining careful public distance that reinforced media narrative of division rather than connection. "Join me?" he asked simply, invitation containing volumes beyond its two-word construction, acknowledgement of shared musical understanding beyond stylistic differences, recognition of moment transcending constructed competition, opportunity to demonstrate unity rather than division before child who had inadvertently created space for genuine interaction beyond public personas. Michael's response came not through words, but through movement. Slight nod followed by gesture toward stage nearby, practical acknowledgement of logistics required for musical spontaneity, even in emotional moment. The production team, recognizing unprecedented situation developing amid scheduled programming, made quick decision that would later be described as only human response possible. Approval communicated through headsets to audio engineers who rapidly adjusted equipment to accommodate unplanned performance. Stage manager, signaling availability of microphones and minimal setup sufficient for impromptu musical offering. As they moved toward performance area, as audio technicians hastily prepared for unscheduled musical moment, the audience remained in stunned silence. Collective recognition of witnessing something transcending typical awards show experience, something approaching genuine human connection amid industry, event designed primarily for commercial celebration and public relations opportunities. When Prince settled at keyboard hastily positioned center stage, when Michael took place, standing nearby, the spontaneous applause that erupted contained quality different from standard industry appreciation, recognition of barrier being broken between constructed narrative and authentic interaction. What followed defied simple description. Not standard performance, but intimate musical offering, Prince's fingers finding melody he had composed years earlier, while Michael added subtle vocal harmony that transformed solo composition into unexpected duet. They performed abbreviated version rather than complete song. Musical essence rather than commercial presentation. Essence rather than entertainment. Genuine offering rather than public performance. The arrangement emerged organically. Unplanned, yet revealing deep musical understanding between artists typically positioned as stylistic opposites, as competitive forces rather than complementary expressions of Black musical innovation approaching same cultural moment from different creative directions. Throughout their brief collaboration, both maintained consistent visual connection with the child whose simple request had created unprecedented moment. Performing not for cameras that had rapidly reoriented to capture unexpected development, not for industry peers filling the auditorium, but specifically for young person whose medical reality had stripped away pretense to reveal essential truth about music's significance beyond commercial metrics or critical evaluations. This wasn't performance as entertainment, but music as genuine connection, as authentic human exchange, transcending typical boundaries between artists and audience, between supposed rivals, between planned programming and spontaneous expression. When they concluded, Prince's final notes lingering briefly before yielding to silence that somehow contained more significance than sound itself, the audience response transcended standard ovation. This wasn't appreciation for technical excellence or entertainment value, but acknowledgement of witnessing moment of authentic human connection amid event typically defined by carefully constructed presentations and competitive positioning. As applause continued, as emotion rippled through venue typically characterized by practiced industry enthusiasm rather than genuine feeling, Michael and Prince briefly acknowledged each other. Not elaborate interaction, but simple exchange of nods containing recognition that transcended years of maintained distance, of media-constructed rivalry. Both then returned attention to true center of moment. The child whose simple sign had created space for authentic connection beyond planned programming. Prince gently covered her hand, resting on wheelchair arm, gesture containing volumes beyond verbal expression. Michael leaned closer, speaking words inaudible to anyone else, but generating smile that momentarily transformed her expression from physical fragility to pure joy. Then, with synchronicity that suggested shared understanding without explicit coordination, they simultaneously stepped back, returning spotlight to child rather than themselves, acknowledging her centrality to moment rather than their own participation within it. As they returned to respective seating areas, as ceremony organizers attempted returning to scheduled programming despite emotional atmosphere that defied easy transition back to industry celebration, the audience gradually reoriented toward planned proceedings. But something fundamental had shifted in the room's energy. Recognition that beneath constructed narratives of competition and division existed possibility of connection and collaboration, that beyond carefully maintained public personas resided human beings capable of recognizing moment, where authentic expression mattered more than strategic positioning. In days that followed, as entertainment media attempted contextualizing unexpected moment within established narrative frameworks, the simplest truth remained most significant. Two artists consistently positioned as rivals had momentarily transcended constructed competition to create authentic connection, had set aside carefully maintained public distance to acknowledge shared humanity more significant than stylistic differences or market positioning. The child whose request had catalyzed this unexpected collaboration received private visits from both musicians in subsequent weeks, genuine follow-up beyond public moment, authentic connection rather than performative gesture, recognition of individual significance beyond brief intersection with their public narratives. If this story has touched you, if it has offered glimpse beyond constructed rivalries to possibilities of unexpected connection, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who might appreciate reminder that beneath carefully maintained public narratives sometimes exist moments of genuine human recognition, that beyond strategic positioning and market competition reside possibilities for authentic collaboration when circumstances create space for connection beyond constructed divisions. The girl herself, though never publicly identified per family's request for privacy, received something beyond momentary joy from unexpected musical offering, temporary transcendence of medical reality through witnessing dissolution of perceived barrier between artists whose work had provided separate but equally significant meaning throughout her difficult journey. Hospital staff later reported her description of experience with particular phrase that cut through clinical terminology and medical prognosis to express essential truth. "I didn't just see my heroes," she told them. "I saw them see each other." Perhaps this represents most meaningful legacy of unexpected moment amid routine industry celebration. Recognition that beneath constructed narratives of division and competition exist possibilities for connection and collaboration when circumstances create space for authentic interaction beyond strategic positioning. That beyond carefully maintained public personas reside human beings capable of recognizing when genuine expression matters more than maintaining established boundaries, or reinforcing expected divisions. An entertainment landscape increasingly defined by manufactured conflicts and strategic oppositions, such moments of unexpected unity offer glimpse of possibility beyond constructed narratives. Authentic human connection, transcending industry categories and market positioning to reveal shared understanding more meaningful than supposed differences typically emphasized for commercial benefit rather than artistic truth.